Hi everyone, welcome back to Let's Play ChäoS Head. Those loads took a long time to come by. Let us continue on. And then she stopped in front of me. Run away, whispered my reason. But somehow my body wouldn't move. It was as though my consciousness were floating somewhere outside my body. With a slow, deliberate movement, as if she meant to show me something, Girl A reached inside her blazer. She pulled something out of her inner pocket. A knife or a gun? Or a stun gun? It made me think I'd seen too many TV dramas, but the premonition of something bad coming wouldn't leave my head.
これ
Girl A murmured. Deep in her glasses, her gaze remained unmoving. Since long before, it had been fixed solely on my eyes.
落としましたよ。
What she held out to me was my student idea book. Shit. Fucking student ID books.
さっきのネットカフェで拾いました。追いつくことができてよかった。
I took it without thinking. When I opened it, my name and my headshot photo were inside. The student handbook was mine.
西條匠くんって言うんですね。
Her face, which had been stony up until just now, suddenly softened.
すいません。勝手に中身を見ちゃって。私も同じ学校なんです。
Yeah, no shit.
よろしく。
She'd knocked the wind out of my sails. Could this mean that it had been all the product of my paranoia? I'm sorry about that sentence, that was horrible. Could this mean that it had all been the product of my paranoia?
ところで西條くんは付き合ってる人いますか？
Holy shit.
いません。
本当ですか？じゃあよかったら私と。
Holy fuck, man, you're scoring. A relationship flag. It's here! My days of living in real life have only just begun. I came back to myself with a gasp. The light that should have turned green was still red. Girl A, who should have been right in front of my eyes, was still on the other side of the crosswalk. Just now, did I imagine that? This time the light really did turn green. The pedestrians began walking all at once. I couldn't move. Girl A didn't move. Unmoving, she stared straight at me. It was as though time had stopped solely for the two of us. Why didn't that bespectacled girl start walking? Why was she still standing in place? She's weird, she's strange, I mustn't get involved with her. It would be better to run. I should run away while I still have the chance. And I ran so far away. Run! Berating my weak-willed and withering heart, I dashed off in a straight line, away from Girl A. I ran back down Dogan Hill, though I'd just come up it, and entered the side road I encountered along the way. That instant, something slammed violently into my shoulder, and I fell down. I groaned, failing to understand what had happened to me, as pain ran through my whole body. It took me a while to start pushing. Wow. Pushing. Push up! It took me a while to start pushing myself up. When I raised my face, there was a large scooter toppled over in the middle of the road. I must have collided with it. Wow. I should stop recording. I cannot speak for the life of me. Well, that's to the charm, I guess. Seriously, learn to talk. Gritting my teeth, I tried forcing myself to stand. but my legs wouldn't support me. Nothing seemed to be broken, but...
大丈夫ですか?
Before I knew it, Girl A was right in front of my eyes. She peered into my face as though she was worried about me. What was with her? What was with this girl? My body wouldn't move for me. Pathetic as it was, I was petrified. I didn't know what to do. With things having turned out like this, I regretted that I hadn't used the train to Shinsen to get home.
怪我してませんか?
Girl A called out to me cautiously. Was she scheming to catch me off my guard by pretending to be concerned about me? I won't let you fool me. I won't get taken in by the likes of some 3D chick.
なんなんだよ。
え?
ついてくるなよ。僕に何の用だ。
She looked bewildered. I desperately derided her, while scooting back on my butt in hopes of opening an even a little distance between us. If I didn't do so, I thought maybe she'd pull out a knife out of her clothes at any second and come attack me. That gruesome spectacle revived at the back of my mind over and over. No matter what I did, I kept wondering whether I would end up on the same way. She lowered her head, her expression wounded.
あなたが急に走り出して様子を見に来たら倒れてたので心配で。でも今は用事とかあるわけじゃないんですが、
Not as if she had any business with me, she says. Way too cryptic.
じゃあなんで付きまとってくるんだ。
それは
She fumbled her words. As expected, her behavior was far too suspicious.
私、楠木優愛って言います。
Yua. No one had asked her to, but she suddenly started introducing herself.
実はあなたのこと一目見てなんとなく存在が気になって、それでつい。
She just ended up telling me. This woman, who introduced herself as Yua, gradually lowered her glance while blabbering up something obscure.
ごめんなさい。
She furiously bowed her head. Impossible. That was my honest reaction. No, that's not true. That's impossible. That always reminds me of Star Wars. Whenever I see impossible, because I had to keep myself in last time. There was like, that's impossible. It's impossible. When it said that, I had to keep myself really in there. But just I keep imagining the first scene of the Star Wars episode 4 when Luke and Uncle Owen are buying the droids from the Jawas, and you hear Aunt Beru in the background, Luke, 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 and she keeps on going. And the creators of Blue Harvest by Family Guy. That it's the same way. It's like Luke, Luke, and then Chris walks up and he's like, "What?" That's about that story. Looking at her like this, the girl who called herself Yua was rather cute. I'd acknowledge that, and I have been changing accents all the way around. People are going to be wondering, like, where the hell is this guy from? Fuck. Well, if they gave me some attention in one of the earlier videos, they might know. Which was exactly why I didn't believe her. A 3D girl who felt favorably towards me? What was this? An eroge? My whole life up until now, no one had ever said something like that to me. That was why the sudden confession could only ring false to me. Did she think I'd rejoice over it? Regardless of the fact that she'd been creeping around me like a stalker up until a short while ago? I might dig a character like that in the 2D world, but I didn't want to see it in real life. It sent me reeling back. And I was incredibly embarrassed. I wanted to get away from here right away. The third dimension really is shit. To put you under the pressure of anxiety when all you're doing is talking.
僕は3次元に興味はないよ。
え？
いや、め
I stammered because I was attempting to say something harsh. Even so, I had to make it clear to her, or she'd keep hovering around me later. No thanks. I'd pass on that.
迷惑だよ。つきまとわないでよ。
すいません。
Seeing her hunch over and fall silent, I wondered if she'd really reconsidered. No, don't let her trick you. Don't trust anything in the third dimension. All I could trust was the second dimension. I had more faith in Seratan's words than whatever this girl said.
もうついてこないでね。僕帰るから。
Faltering, I fought to stand up. My body still hurt here and there. My shoulder in particular had trouble moving. Oh, my shoulder! And this fucking words. And an intermittent dull pain kept running through it. Seriously, this is impossible for people like me who didn't grow up in English. Fuck. The pain briefly made me dizzy. I might have hit my head when I fell. You were hurriedly caught at my hand and supported me as I stumbled.
怪我してるんですね。手貸します。
It was a lot of work to avoid meeting her eyes, no doubt about it. My face was turning bright red. She'd make fun of me if she saw it, so I turned my face aside and roughly shook off Yua's hand. The inside of my head was pure white. I almost never touched females, other than my family members. I felt the pulse in my chest growing steadily faster and faster.
お家まで送ります。あなたが怪我したのは私がつきまとっちゃったせいですから。だから送らせてください。
Alright. All you need is a black or navy blue school swimsuit, and then we're talking, babe. I was happy at her suggestion. I wasn't used to having others be nice to me, so even though she was a 3D girl who'd previously induced only revulsion in me, I was in serious danger of falling for her. No snap. That was why I didn't have the courage to look at Yua face to face. Besides, she was a stalker, and she might be related to that demon girl, and I didn't want to die. Anyway, I was attempting to think about a lot of things, but I couldn't think about anything, and I became more and more discombobulated. Discombobulated corpse termination urbanization. Shit. Blasting Matsuzu as power revenge. Come on, everyone, say it with me. Seriously, no one is ever going to get that reference, except for Kirby, I think.
お家どこですか？
深セン。
Shinsen?
深セン？
Oh crap! I thought as soon as I nodded, why did I have to go and tell her? What was I expecting from her? At most, this would turn out to be a delusion. Or else, at the very, very end, I'd be thrust down on a pinnacle of happiness and fall into despair. Thrusted down, by the way. That kind of pattern appears a lot in anime. A death flag had gone off. Shit. Without my realizing it, Yua had slipped under my shoulder to hold me up. Her soft body was practically glued to me. Her hair smelled nice. Impossible. There was no way a 3D girl would be this nice to someone like me.
歩けますか？
When she asked me, I made the mistake of nodding again.
じゃあ行きましょう。
ChäoS spoke nervously and began to slowly move forward, watching my feet. She was doing so much for me that I could no longer refuse her or shake her off. Helpless, I had no choice but to start walking, borrowing the assistance of her delicate shoulders. Neither ChäoS nor I spoke until we reached the building where my base was located. As if I could ever have a normal conversation with a girl. Obviously, if I brought up the subject of anime or games or figures, pretty girls would reflexively call me a creep without so much as trying to understand me. From my perspective, there was nothing to be gained from talking with those bitches.
ここでもういいから。
Somehow forcing myself to say just that much, I studied her reaction. ChäoS gave me a small nod and let me go. I still staggered a little.
やっぱりお部屋までついていきましょうか。
Oh man. Ignoring her suggestion, I headed for the building's entrance. This ragged 22-year-old building called Kurenai Hall was 8 stories high and housed multiple tenants. You know, it says Kurenai Biru. I don't know. It was grimy, and the elevator hall, not that it was large enough to be called a hall, was dark because the electricity there didn't work, and the stairs were steep, and merely 3 people were enough to fill up the elevator, and its speed of ascent was irritatingly slow. The container housing on the roof formed my base. I ended up here thanks to my dad's connections. Apparently he was a friend of the building's owner, and the rent was pretty cheap. The fact that it only took 10 minutes to walk to school was also a plus. In truth, I'd wanted to live in Akihabara, but my parents wouldn't let me live by myself anywhere other than here, so I gave up and settled in. Well, just as they say, the place you live becomes your palace, and I felt fortunate that it wasn't so bad once I actually came to stay here. I was supposed to be a tenant on the first floor, but ever since I first arrived here, the shutters had always been closed. Next to the rented space on the first floor was a narrow entrance which led to the elevator hall. You had to take the slight step up to get in there. The instant I raised my foot to climb it, a fierce pain ran through me and I swayed.
大丈夫ですか？
You leapt forward to hold me up. Damn it, so she was still here.
やっぱり部屋まで送ります。絶対送りますから。
Her declaration sounded oddly frantic. To be perfectly honest, it was an enormous help to have you come this far with me. After reaching the 8th floor via the elevator, I'd have to climb a set of steep emergency stairs, and in my current state that seemed nigh impossible to do alone. Yua didn't seem very strong, or at least going by her outward appearance. Despite that, she did her best to support me, catching her breath as she helped me climb.
こんなところに住んでるんですね。
Yua was rendered speechless upon seeing the container housing. I guess from a normal person's point of view, living in an industrial container would seem downright unbelievable.
なんか憧れます。
What the hell is it? Suspension of disbelief.
アウトローな感じがしていいですよね。こういうのって。
I never dreamed someone would say such a thing. Was she trying to butter me up or what? I won't be fooled. I definitely won't be fooled by one of you 3D girls. Okay? That's Madam Kai. With Yua supporting me, I opened a padlock on the door and went inside. God, this seems fucking creepy. I finally made it back. Today had been disastrous. It might be best to become a hikikomori after all.
真っ暗ですね。電気のスイッチはどこに？
This girl, she'd brazenly gone ahead to the middle of the room. But well, there was also the fact that she lent me her shoulder on the way here. If possible, I didn't want her to look around the room. After all, there were a ton of figurines lined up on the shelves, and Eroge packages were piled up on the bed, and the floor was littered with trash.
もういいから。話して。
Having communicated that, I waited for Yua's hand to leave me, but she wouldn't release me so easily.
床すごく散らかってじゃなくて歩きにくいと思うんですけど絶対危ないですソファーまで行きましょうそこで話しますから
In the end, I did as she told me. Magazines and CDs were scattered atop the sofa, too. But Yua swiftly tidied them up while still supporting me, and that helped me sit down. Fuck me, I'm gonna reread that. In the end, I did as she told me. Magazines and CDs were scattered atop the sofa, too. But Yua swiftly tidied them up while still supporting me, and then helped me sit down. There we go. Was that so hard? She was kind to me, and so considerate. No, don't be fooled. I won't let you fool me.
平気ですか
She and I were alone in my room. Since the door was still thrown open, some faint moonlight came in, but the inside of my room remained mostly dark, which was why I couldn't tell what kind of expression Yua was making. Conversely, though, my being unable to see her well made her breathing sound even more sexual. Come to think of it, this was the first time someone other than me, my little sister, had visited my room, and she was a girl I'd only just met. If this were a game, I'd definitely triggered an event flag, the sort of situation where we'd get cozy and end up kissing. But I wasn't expecting that kind of thing. Reality was endlessly cruel. Unlike the second dimension, and this girl wasn't normal. She was a stalker. Speaking of which, how long did Yua plan on standing there in front of me? If she'd done what she wanted, she should hurry up and leave. Having thought that far, I pulled up short. Surely, she wasn't planning on doing something horrible now that the two of us were alone.
明かりのスイッチは
I guess there's a morsel coming soon.
パソコンの。
パソコン
The only source of illumination in this room was the desk light set next to my PC. I started to tell her to switch it on, but I couldn't bring myself to finish.
そうかあのデスクライトですね
Scrupulously avoiding the garbage at her feet as she walked, Yua wavered her way over to the desk and turned on the light. The room was at last released from darkness. In the dark, being unable to see had... Holy shit, man. In the dark, being unable to see had the opposite effect of driving me to fantasize about all kind of things. But now I could see her clearly. I didn't know where to look and became even more embarrassed. Becoming completely incapable of speech, I hurriedly hunched over. I shivered convulsively when Yua suddenly raised her voice. Her line of sight was aimed at my figure of Serotan, standing next to my monitor in a usual moe pose.
これってブラチューのセイラちゃんですよね
知ってるの
はいブラチューは大好きで毎週見てます
Oh boy, looks like we found our soulmate. Well, we'll save it here. After quite a long session indeed. And I'll see you guys next time. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And sorry about my crappy English. Hi everyone, we're back, and I'm gonna make this a short one. Yes, I love Burachi. I watch it every week, as what she said last time.
セイラちゃんがお好きなんですね私もヒロインの中では彼女が一番好きなんですよ衣装も可愛いですし
Her voice had grown lively. She wasn't just saying it to flatter me. How unexpected could it be that you are...
Fujoshi.
Fujoshi is basically a girl who's... You've got You've got like the male ones, which you could call hikikomoris, I guess. And then you've got fujoshi, who dress up really sloppily after, when they get home, they're really classy and stylish, and when they get home, they're really sloppy and all dirty and sit in their own sweat and shit. Kind of like the male equivalent, and they like often fujoshi also end up liking gay shit. Just so you know. I guess we're gonna get an explanation real soon.
あ、うん。
So she simply liked anime.
あれ、フィギュアって言うんですよね。ちょっと見せてもらってもいいですか？
Go ahead.
すみません。ずうずうしいこと言っちゃって。もう帰った方がいいですよね。
Mm-hmm. Tsukihime over here. Flustered, she bowed her head to me repeatedly.
見ていいよ。
Anyway, it didn't feel so bad to have someone praise one of my wives. That was why I figured why not be a little nicer to her.
本当ですか？ありがとうございます。
You have picked up serotonin and studied her seriously.
それは山陽堂版の覚醒前バージョンなんだ。セーラフィギュアはいくつか種類が出てるけど、最初に出たやつ。
へえ。
あまりクオリティは高くないよ。顔とか微妙に崩れてるし、ポーズも平凡すぎてあんまりエロくないし。でも服の胸元部分をキャストオフできるのは今のところそれだけなんだ。
If you didn't know, cast off is something we figure fans like to use as a name of. You can take off parts of their clothing. I think I have one of those. I'm looking around here. Oh yes, I do. I have Subaru from Mayochiki, and you can take off her skirt and her bra. Well, not bra, swimsuit, really. Yeah, I think that's the only cast off I have. Is that right? No, I think I have a cast off of Erio from Denpa Onna to Station Otoko, and she had a skirt on. She had a skirt on as well, which is no longer the case, mind you. So yeah, cast off figures. A term for figures where you can take off some of the clothes. Sometimes even all.
胸元？
ちなみに僕はセーラフィギュアは4種類全部揃えてるよ。そっちの棚に制服バージョンとメイドバージョン、あと水着バージョンがある。
そんなに種類がすごいですね。
一番評価が高いのはメイドバージョンなんだけど、個人的には水着バージョンも悪くないよ。
Wow, this guy totally reminds me of myself. Ryan is probably thinking the same thing, as is Matt and Nick.
そうなんですか。見てみたいですね。でもちょっと暗くて。
もうすぐアルファから待望の覚醒後バージョンが出るんだけど、これはかなりクオリティ高そうなんだ。キャストオフも胸元だけじゃなくてほぼ全身可能だっていうし、表情もポーズも質感も言うことなしだね。
I guess you saw the beta.
あとはカラーさえバッチリなら今年発売されたフィギュアの中でも MVP 候補だよ。
アルファ？
Alpha Max?
メーカーだよ、フィギュアの。
I guess it's Alpha Max?
ああ、なるほど。
Catching myself, I held my tongue. I realized that I'd said too much. Furthermore, going off on like that on Bishujo figures, I had the feeling that I'd said some pretty dumbass stuff. Like about being able to cast off clothing, and whether or not poses were sexy. I wanted to see what kind of face Yua was making, but I didn't have the courage to look. She'd definitely be looking down on me as if I were something dirty. So I desperately forced my face in some other direction, pulse racing. Yua called out to me, and I automatically turned in her direction. Far from wearing the scorn-filled expression I had feared, she was...
さっき言っていた戦闘バージョンとかメイドバージョンも見せてもらっていいですか？
うん。そっちの棚に。
I was utterly confused because Yua was smiling. as if she was really having fun.
わあ、すごいですね。こんなにたくさん。
Her eyes sparkled even after she saw the shelf filled with figures. To think that there existed a 3D girl who could see this kind of thing and not be repulsed. It was a big world out there, or something along those lines.
メイドセイラちゃんってこれですね。ふむふむ。アニメの印象とはちょっと違うけど、すごく可愛いです。下着までちゃんと作り込んであるんだ。こういうの実物で見たのは初めてですけど、いいですね。私も買ってみようかな。
だったら覚醒後バージョンを予約した方がいいよ。あれは絶対おすすめだから。
そうですね。あなたの話を聞いていたら、その覚醒後バージョンは本気で欲しくなりました。覚醒後って12話のあのシーンのことですよね。
よく知ってますな、お主。かなりのマニアですが。
Onishi! Onishi! Shit! That is like such old Japanese shit.
はい、好きですから。特にあの時の覚醒シーンは毎日録画したものを見返してます。
Wow.
あのシーンって演出と作画宮地なんだ。だからクオリティ高くて当然。
I don't know if that's an actual reference, but it's flying right over my head.
宮地？
そういう神クリエイターがいるんだ。あの人の演出はマジで神だよ。アットちゃんの実況版でも神来たってなるし。
そうなんですか。すごく知識が豊富なんですね。私、スタッフが誰かなんてまるで気にしてませんでした。
I never pay attention to staff members. I do pay attention to the voice actors. But staff members, I never know who wrote the story or whatever, who wrote the boards.
監督と演出と脚本はチェックしとくといいよ。特に新作なんかはそれを調べるだけで内容の良し悪しが大体予測できるし。
わかりました。今度からそうしてみますね。
Yua faced me again as she answered, wearing a charming smile. To think that I'd been on the receiving end of a girl's smile. To think that such an eroge-esque conversation could exist in real life, and that I myself would be able to experience it. 3D girls, my sister included, usually smile at me as if they were making fun of me. I shouldn't forget Seratan's word to me. You mustn't trust anyone. You mustn't listen to anyone.
こんなこと聞いていいかどうかわからないんですけど。
何？
Oh God, here we go. Shit me. Yua suddenly began fidgeting. She faced downward and didn't try to meet my eyes.
聞かせてもらってもいいでしょうか。
What?
あなたのお名前。
What? Nishio Takumi! You fucking gave me my book back!
名前？
I guess it's just politeness. Now that she mentioned it, she'd introduced herself to me, but I hadn't reciprocated.
西條匠。
Becoming oddly embarrassed, I ended up mumbling it.
西條匠くんですね。何年生？
Don't know.
2年。
私は3年。私の方が年上さんですね。
You know what? Since we're getting the choice to do that kind of thing, I think we're gonna leave it off here because I'm running out of space to record, and we'll continue on next time. This is promising. Of course, I'm going for the green option this time around. I have looked online to see what I have to do for the other endings, and apparently the first playthrough only the positive endings are around, and no choices you make actually affect the game. So I looked that up for educational purposes, so yes, there will be a second playthrough sometime. Sometimes my troubles seem so far away. Alright, see you guys.